Scott? Jason? Either one of you here? Wow, there's a lot of Coors Light in here. It's really weird. I wonder if Scott and Jason are okay. But he does have his Avril Lavigne and Lizard People collection over here, so Scott has definitely been around. Where the hell are these two assholes? It's time for reviews.
Man,
Also, when did they
Jason,
change the
we
layer?
forgot to tell him. We forgot to tell him, Jason.
I think we've kind of missed the mark on a lot of things. We talked about recording and then life got busy, and I don't think we told Tom that this.
Told me what?
Well, see, a lot has happened over the last month. Lots transpired since we spoke last. I think the last episode we talked was actually my birthday episode, so it was well over a month ago.
Yeah, you're right. It was. Yep.
We have decided that Liquid Carnage is going to go on permanent vacation, Tom. It's time to take the podcast to the farm, to look at the daisies.
To look at the daisies, to take it to greener pastures. To
gentlemen, that's enough with the euphemisms.
Oh, wow.
You're fucking killing the podcast. I get it. All right,
we're ending it. Yeah, it's over. It's 7 years. It's over. It's
okay.
I think it is important, though, to recognize that we did have a faux pas, Scott, because what most people don't realize is that I have a text stream with Tom's notes since episode number 1. And we are currently on episode 346. And I've got notes from Tom, our executive producer, on all 346 episodes.
So you could argue that we're one of the longest reigning sitcoms ever on TV if we're actually on TV, but we're not. So we're just another average podcast.
Yeah. But we still messed up. We should have told Tom.
Yeah, we should have. That's our bad. In fairness, we had every intention to. It's just that forgot.
Well, kind of like you forgot to tell me about the new recording studio in the Western Slope. Like it's halfway between Kingman, Phoenix, and Denver.
Yeah, that's called Four Corners. Yeah, totally.
I know.
You're lucky you sent me that text message about, hey, could you bring me a beer? And from that, I knew you were in trouble, and I was able to derive where this place was at. I never would have found it otherwise.
You know what's funny about that? While I haven't drank Coors Light in years.
Oh.
I drink Ultra now.
But,
because of bar drunkonomics, the bar I frequent has moved Bud Light, Coors Light, and Miller Light to happy hour prices at $4. So I drink Miller Light now. At least on tap when it's happy hour.
What bar is that?
That's Chili's.
Oh, they moved. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Do you know how much money I've saved since switching over to Miller Light?
It's
incredible.
Yeah. Sure, you can't see straight anymore. Sure, you've lost so many brain cells that you don't even remember that we were supposed to tell Tom that we were canceling the podcast. But hey, what's the difference, right?
I'm saving $3 a beer, Jason. So every fourth beer is basically free at this point. So I think that's drunkonomics.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that's about as drunk as you can get, man. That's about as drunk as you can get.
Yeah, that certainly does sound like Scott drunk logic. Well, gentlemen, if we're ending the podcast, I think it's only right that we each take best episode, worst episode, and a final goodbye to our listeners.
We should, but first, before we do that, I know we forgot to tell Tom, but I do want to apologize to our listeners. I did have a few reach out over the last couple of weeks because of the last recording we had was us saying we have a special announcement coming next week, and now it's been almost a month and a half.
Oh, we have a special announcement coming next month.
I literally have one of the guys I've known for years. He's been a day one listener. I appreciate it, Dan. Thank you. Reach out and ask what the big announcement was, because he was hoping it was going to be something much better than this. But I'm sorry to disappoint. But man, life gets hectic, and I think we'll still occasionally pop on here. We know this is here. We have other platforms. We still have social medias. You never know when we might come back.
Well, and who knows? Maybe the times will require us to come back and with better equipment and better topics and better organization planning.
Well, better topics. I don't know if we can ever top the topics we've had. I mean, Once, Jason, what was your favorite episode?
Oh gosh. I've had a couple really good ones. I've always liked and maybe you can't limit it to one, but I've always liked the topics where you and I would go at it because you don't know anything about how movies, what makes a quality movie.
That's true.
Those podcasts, we've had maybe 3 or 4 of those, but they're always fun because it's always wonderful for me to prove you wrong once again. In the debate about what is a good movie, what's a bad movie. I always
Yeah.
love those because of just the that I'm not the only one in the universe who's seeing the just misinformation that you give out. Everyone else gets to see it too, so they can, make a determination about why I'm right and you're wrong.
I didn't realize I was recording with Newsmax or OAN right now.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, relationship deal breakers. I mean, it's always been a fun one in my head just because we had guest speakers on that one, and it was by far one of our most favorite podcasts that we ever did.
Yeah, that was a good one too. I mean, it always goes back to me to Avril Lavigne and the Lizard People, season 1 conspiracy theory, like episode 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Fantastic, just fun. But I appreciate how you've indulged me in a lot of these other conspiracy theories because right now there's a lot going on, especially if you want to cross the pond and see what's happening with the royal family. It's all over the Instagram, so it's interesting to see what other kind of the conspiracies the lizard folk are kicking up in Europe.
I think the thing that I've always found interesting when we've had the discussion about conspiracy theories, and maybe it's because of my utter reticence about even putting any weight to these, is that if the conspiracy theory is true, there's a lot of people putting a lot of time and energy into shit that really could be reallocated to other things.
Oh, I agree.
Like the
I
royal
agree.
family they have so many other things that they could be doing with their lives that putting it into this conspiracy theory about the princess it's just so ridiculous to me that someone would waste that much time and energy.
Well, if you're trying to discuss staying relevant in a time where relevance is how much gossip and chaos can you create among social media, then maybe they're doing a really good job with it.
Maybe.
You
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
just
Self
just
promoters. I
just a
mean,
counterpoint.
some people say majorly offensive comments because it strikes a nerve and gets more people looking at their tweets and posts and stuff. So you're right. I mean, people have a crazy way of using these kind of things as a way to boost their own enigma.
Yes, yes. What about you, Tom? I mean, you've joined us over the years for quite a few.
Well,
What would you say is your favorite episode?
oh man, any episode I'm on, obviously.
Oh yeah,
No,
of course. I
actually,
mean,
actually, there's
Fair.
only one perfect episode. There's only one episode where I didn't write 2 pages of just a scathing tirade. It was in
Yeah,
season 4, and the title was "Remembering Our Friend Ralph,"
yeah,
and
yeah,
the entirety
yeah.
of the notes is "No notes this week. R.I.P. Ralph."
God, that
That
was
one
oof.
that one was the most raw and was the most honest, and also, I literally I mean, it was the first Christmas. It was Christmas COVID. It was COVID
yeah,
Christmas. I think I had just met um Janice a couple of months
yeah,
before. Hadn't met
yeah.
the
The girls
her
yet?
her daughters yet, and I think that was really the first time I'd spent any time with them. And Ralph, Ralph, as usual, was invited to Christmas dinners, holidays, as he often was. And, you know, Mom, being an ER nurse, and this one might be a little TMI, but I've had gallstones for several years.
Ooh.
And
Mm-hmm.
this is about the time I figured out that I had gallstones. And Ralph just proceeded to describe what life was like without a gallbladder
Oh boy.
in front of Scott's girlfriend at the time,
Well,
new
he's had that.
girlfriend, her kids. And my dad's like, "Hey, who is this guy talking about this shitting over here at Christmas dinner?"
Yeah.
And then he was gone a week later, and Ralph wasn't that much older than us. I think he was in his mid 40s, mid to
No, he
late
was in
40s at
50s. He
that
was
point.
51.
He was 51. Okay, he's a little bit older, but still, like,
Yeah.
to have someone be like that there and present in the moment and like so perfect and then gone not even 5 days later.
Yeah.
Um, that it just like I think about that Christmas dinner and I think about that podcast. I'm like, you know, that one is probably my favorite one of the batch.
Yeah, that was a good one. It was a painful one. That was that era. I think there's a lot of just unknowns going on in the world and having to deal with that on top of everything else. Because Dad obviously had his heart attack a few months prior. The pandemic was not a lot of fun for me. There's a lot of raw episodes around that, but that one I think you're right hit home. Just remembering our friend, and we still talk about him and think of him fondly. So I think that's a good one to have as your favorite.
Yeah, and I think there's one thing that all three of us can agree upon on with that one is death to the 49ers.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I think we've all got that one covered.
Yeah, yeah. I think that was another thing is that when we always tried to bring in the sport topics once a year, we'd always have our sport topics, knowing that a lot of our listeners were not into sports, but we always brought in a sport topic, whether it was fantasy football or whether it was talking about, college sports or whatever it was. We always seem to bring that as a topic each year, which is nice.
It seemed to hit very well in the European and Asian markets, though, because
Gosh,
we
yeah,
did see
one
that
year,
one
yeah.
spike.
We had like
Someone was trying to learn
100
about football, and they
downloads of
downloaded our
fantasy
podcast.
football, yeah, from like 6 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, so kudos to whoever that person is. If you download this randomly now, thank you for downloading and making us an international Z-list stars.
Is there anything that, as you think back, that you wish that we had talked about more or talked about even for a first time?
To be honest with you, I kind of wish we would have covered the NILs in college sports. I know we just said sports the turnoff, but I think the business of college sports and how it was versus how it is now, I think is a very interesting juxtaposition over the last 10 years. And I just think it'd be an interesting conversation, especially from your viewpoint on how you see things. Because I watched the USC Trojans 30 for 30 a few weeks ago, and it just reminded me like how much Reggie Bush got screwed for what is just normal practices today. You know,
Oh, right. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know that. I'm always a fan of talking about music. I know we had a big show a few years back where there was 5 or 6 of us on here talking about ideal concerts and dream concerts and whatever else. And I think that was a lot of fun to have more music conversations.
Yeah. Yeah. I always regret that we never did the road trip.
Yeah. Well, we can still do it post podcast humorously, however you want
No,
to call
I
that.
think that's one of those things, which, that we talked about doing a podcast where we were going to, like we did it the first year where we took the podcast to a location, remember, and we were going to have
Yeah.
it recorded and everyone got drunk and we couldn't.
The Hans Gruber
The
Memorial
Hans
Pub
Gruber
Crawl.
Memorial. Yeah. The Hans Gruber Memorial. And we never,
What a
we
great
never,
and terrible idea.
well,
I
it was,
forgot about the
we learned
Gruber.
that a
Oh
few
my
times in the
gosh.
podcast that getting drunk and doing the podcast didn't work out for us.
Yeah. I mean, also the improv podcast.
Yeah.
Whenever we mixed alcohol in the podcast,
Yeah.
it was not airable, but it's probably some of the best stuff we've got.
Yeah, but there were times where you'd listen to it. It's like, oh my God, these guys are just drunk. That's all they're doing.
Yeah, they're fools. They're fools. And what better platform than podcasting to talk about your drunkenness things? And some people will never see the light of day with that podcast. And that's fine with me. But man, what an experience!
We did have the drunk history. That was one of the ones that didn't turn out too bad.
The drunk history was amazing. When you said the Pilgrims invented Weight Watchers, Jason, that was
I'll have to
that's
listen to that one
legendary.
again because I do not remember that at all.
You were in prime shape after that.
Oh God. Oh jeez.
Like Tom, and kudos to you for hosting that one and narrating it and kind of prodding him along, because your interpretation of the first Thanksgiving was
That was pretty good.
magical.
I
I mean,
another one
that's probably top 3.
Another one that just came into my head though that it's more of a serious topic, but we talked about the topic was what would we tell our 20-year younger self.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
And one of the things that I remember from that is both of us said, yeah, if I could go back, I would say save more money, save more money, save more money. And at the end, we kind of came to the realization, well, I still got 20 years left. Why not
Yeah,
start saving now, right?
yeah,
And I still think about that one day because I did start saving, and sure enough, the money has started to percolate into something that's going to be worth a lot in 15 years. And I thought that came from that podcast.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I started doing too. Sorry, the
Hey, we can't have an ending podcast without a dog barking.
right, the production assistants heard the girls running around in the other room, so they had to go investigate.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've done the same thing. I've started rat holing money away in different accounts and in different ways, just trying to diversify. And a lot of it's just from talking to you every Monday, about just financial moves and trying to make ways. In fact, you got me onto that Apple savings last year. That's helped me kind of centralize all my money to where I've almost paid off my truck.
Wow. See, there you go. Jeez, that's crazy.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah, it's wild how that works out. I think this podcast for me has been a lot of things, and I think it was a great phase in our lives to help us deal with a lot of change too. Because you moved to Phoenix in this, Tom, you moved to Denver, Janice and the girls moved in all in the last 7 years, and it's just been a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it had, and who knows if we'd stayed in Kingman, we don't know where the podcast was going to go. I mean, they'd already talked about doing a radio program for us.
That's true. A lot of people don't realize this, that we were offered drive time radio on local radio.
Yeah. And
Um,
when we did it the first time, that was starting to collect. I mean, that was starting to get some things moving.
yeah.
Remember when we first started, they kicked us off, but not because of us, but because of
Oh, hey, the DJ.
the DJ had a bad incident one night. But it was starting to pick up a little bit, and who knows what that would have done had I stayed. In fact, wasn't the timing perfect on that? They had made the offer right in the between when I was about ready to move to Phoenix.
Yeah, yeah.
And who
I mean,
knows?
of course, the other caveat was we had to go out and find our own advertising to pay for our stuff and pay for our salaries on top of that. So, yeah, it's a nice offer, but there's always another side to the story.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow. Oh, the advertisers you two would have found. Oh,
With Tom with Scott's connections, we probably would have found some really good ones.
Yeah, I would hope so.
I mean, remember the one business downtown brought us food.
That's true.
Remember
That's
they
true.
brought us food in. We could have started working with them, and who knows?
Yeah, we've had a pretty good run, boys.
Yeah, I think so too. I know that you kind of already said it, Scott, but I do like the fact that a lot of people ask, well, why are you guys still doing it? Why are you guys still doing it? And it really, for me, it was always the same answer. It's the one day a week that Scott and I and Tom can just talk, and with the distance and everything, how often do you talk to a friend once a week?
Yeah.
Just to keep up and check in on each other and see what's going on.
And I'll be honest, I've really missed that the last few weeks just with life going on. But there's been a couple times over the years where we've had to miss a few weeks just because life. But I know we had talked about, since we're ending this, working out a separate time where through the power of the interwebs and our phones, we can actually do this offline over FaceTime or whatever else. And if anybody else wants to join us, just to have a conversation and a drink, we can do that.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, who knows, the other thing too is, Tom, you've been every day or every week, you've been a part of this, and maybe not recording every week, but you've been a part of it. And that's kind of a special commitment that you gave to Scott and I that I really appreciated. I mean, it was like, wow, this guy has been here the whole time.
Yeah.
well, I mean, honestly, in the beginning, it was sheer boredom.
And in the end, it's your boredom too.
Yeah, in the end, truly sheer boredom as well. But
Masochistic boredom.
asshole.
You're boredom.
Anywho, the
It's like,
Where I
I don't
was
have
going
anything
to,
else to do, so let's listen to these two jackasses. Okay.
well, what I was going to say is like, it actually helped me feel connected to Scott,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and then,
Jason and I've talked about that too. It's the same way for me.
yeah, and it's not to say that like, I think that there's two pinned text threads on my phone. One is with Scott, the other one is this one, which by the way crashes my computers when I bring it up on one of my Macs. It is
Oh,
so long.
wow.
Um,
That's what she said.
yes,
Wow. Really? Yeah. That's crazy. Well, 7 years worth of, 346
yeah,
texts. Yeah. Texts. Wow.
and they're not short texts either.
No,
No,
they're not.
Um,
no.
no, and yeah, it just kind of became like routine, and and it survived COVID. It survived multiple people moving. It survived me having a job where I actually got to like work,
Yeah.
Pay attention. Yeah.
versus when my last one in Phoenix where I was able to do it on the job. Um, yeah, no, it's been a way to stay connected, but kind of do it in a little bit different way.
Yeah, I don't even think mom and dad know we do this.
I'm okay with that.
That's fine too.
Yeah,
I'm very much okay. I don't think I want them listening to this.
yeah, no.
I
Well,
don't think I want them at all.
what advice would you give if someone, now that you have this experience, we'll start with Tom. What would you tell a young person coming to you and say, man, I'd really like to start a podcast. What do you recommend? You were part of one.
Get a really amazing executive producer.
Oh, of course.
No, of course. No, actually consistency. That is the one thing, whether it's podcasting, blogging, social media, anything, just being consistent about it and just doing it. In so years and years ago, I used to post on a blog on Sunday nights,
Yeah, oh God, I love
and
those.
yeah, and they're still there. They're still around. I actually still own the domain. I still post on there occasionally.
God, you can send that link because I forgot about that.
No, you got to go find it on your own. But Scott used to live for those Sunday night posts because
Is this your
I would
OnlyFans account? Is this what you're talking about? Is that what
no,
this is now?
this is not my OnlyFans account. You don't know about that one either.
Scott,
It's how I'm paying for the new truck.
the OnlyFans account. You got your
Yeah,
blog and your feed pictures. Got it. Got it.
yeah.
Hey man, whatever pays the bills. It's
There's a
2024.
there's a lot of lonely college students that in Boulder. That's all I got to say. But Scott would post like within an hour of me making whatever post on Sunday night because I'd do it while watching The Simpsons. He'd post and he'd say, that's how you fucking do it, or whoa, what's going on? What's going on here? And that kind of fell off over time. But if you're gonna do something, even if you have like just be passionate about it, do it consistently and accept that you're going to screw up, but embrace the bad and learn from it, make it better.
Yeah, don't be afraid to change. Roll with it.
Yeah. What about you, Scott? What
Yeah.
would you tell the young podcaster wannabe?
Um, go with your heart, man. If it's something you truly want to talk about and you think people want to listen, talk about it. Find the best equipment that fits you. Because we had pretty decent equipment to start, but yeah, the distance we've had to adapt. But I think if you're gonna do a podcast, do it with the people you look forward to talking to and that challenge you. And I think you can't do this with someone that has the same viewpoints you do because some like it hot and some like basketball. But if you can have that conversation and push your points while being respectful and you're open minded to it, I think you can make any show great as long as you show up and you put the work in.
Yeah, that's a good sentiment. I've always wished that I had a better organization system of each podcast, in terms of editing, um, you know, storage of where they're going to be located. Maybe could have had some like intros and, a little bit more, editing prowess to make them a little bit more professional sounding. I think I would recommend someone learn how to do that, since I did a lot of the post-production work on them.
You did all the post production work on them.
Really come up with, whatever you're going to use to edit the videos, take it seriously. I don't know if people know this, but most of our podcasts are one takes.
Yeah.
We don't like have an editing process. We don't have okay, I'll get it in post editing. I'll cut that out. If you hear me say, holy fucking shit, that stayed in. Fuck it. I don't even care.
Those dogs aren't AI. They're real.
Yeah. And that was the one thing that I wish I'd been better at is, actually putting a high quality product out, that would have, made me feel like, okay, yeah, we're taking this seriously. It's not just two jackasses just talking and I wish I'd done a little bit better on that part. And I would recommend that if you're going to start a podcast, take the time to learn how to edit it, make it a quality product. And make that a concerted effort because it makes a difference for people listening too.
It really does. It really does. But like I think it all comes down to chemistry. I think if you're going to do this and you're going to do this with somebody, whether it be a murder mystery podcast, whodunit, a podcast about life, sports, whatever, if you have a partner with it, someone to bounce off of, make sure you have chemistry. Because if you don't, man, it's like listening to paint dry. You ever listen to paint dry?
Well, and
exactly, that's the
exactly. I don't think we ever wanted that, and I think a lot of people probably listen to our podcast longer because of that chemistry between the two of us and the three of us, right? I mean, they listen because you can tell that these two guys are authentic. They're not fake. They're not trying to play a part. They're two friends. If they were sitting at a bar every week to just sit and chill and talk, this is what it might sound like.
And this is what it sounds like with us too, even when we're together, sitting on, whether it's on your back porch when I'm in Phoenix or when you're up here visiting. It's these are the conversations we have, and it's natural. And I think you're right. It's important for everyone to just realize that we didn't edit this. This is all from start to finish. It was just us rambling.
I will say this too, and I don't know if you guys took this in, but I don't have the final count over the 7 years, but to look at all of the countries around the world that have downloaded episodes of Liquid Carnage is mind-boggling to me. Absolutely mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
That people from the Middle East, people from Africa, people from Asia, every continent has been represented. And that people out in the world decided, hey, let me try this one. It has been mind-boggling to me. The reach that one social experiment can have in the world. Like you mentioned earlier, when we had 120 people download a fantasy football from England, Scotland, that whole area, the Great British Isles. Absolutely amazing.
It's wild. It's the power of the internet.
That's right.
And it's beautiful. So this is usually the part of the show where I plug our social medias and I make up some random thing for the ladies that listen to go hit up Tom on his liquid_EP Instagram or Twitter page, X page, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's best if we say our final thank yous and goodbyes, and Jason, you can just take us out for one last time. So
Okay.
Tom, we'll start with you.
You know what? Thank you, everybody. It's been real. It's been fun. Scott's going to shout out all of all the 4 other listeners in his, but and he doesn't know he's doing that. I just put him in the corner on that. But I'm going to leave you with an I do haiku. Saying goodbye now. Podcast, you were fecking great. Cheers, you bloody git.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Wow, I love it, man. That's awesome.
We had 3 weeks in a snowstorm to plan that.
Yeah,
so
that's true, but that
good.
still is a fucking awesome way to wrap it up from the EP, man. Always coming through in the clutch.
And I think I'll end it with just thanking everybody. And one of my favorite ways I ever heard someone end a show, Brett Smith of Shinedown, the lead singer, ends every show with, "It's never goodbye. It's always, we'll see you soon. We'll see you next time. Thank you."
Yeah, I think I would just like to thank all the people who took the time to listen to us. Thanks, Scott, and Tom. Like I said, our relationship has fully grown because of this experience, and I will never forget it. And I know that it'll continue in a different form, but it will continue all the same. So I thank you guys for putting up with me being the weak link in this thing and really blossoming our relationship. So.
Well, I think before you take us out, I think don't want to put this out there to our 4 listeners. We are serious about trying to start maybe once a week, every other week, just an hour or so we can sit down, over FaceTime, whatever, have a drink and just talk and have an unrecorded podcast. Just people hanging out, just to hang. And if you're interested in that, let us know, because we always want to hear different opinions and different takes on different topics. And sometimes it's just fun just to make fun of somebody. You can help us gang up on Jason. You guys can gang up on me, and it's fun.
Okay. And you can do that through our social media and all.
yeah. Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, all at Liquid Courage.
All at
One last time.
Yeah, right.
All at Liquid Courage. That being said, Jason, take us home.
Thank you for listening. We appreciate you over the years. That was Scott. That was Tom. I am Jason. And as always, if you never know quite what to say,